Hi. Well, this time round we're going to take a look at Traveller Alien Module 1. This was actually the third Alien module that I picked up, but it was the first one produced. This is for the Aslan race, which are, I guess you could say they're derived from lions. That's kind of hinted at. Perhaps the ancients took lion stock away from Earth and created a new race of bipedal beings with that sort of genetic background. Let's have a quick look through this PDF. So let's zoom in here. I've gone through here previously and highlighted things that I found were kind of interesting. So this is a wonderful way to introduce your aliens. You've got the side-by-side comparison with a human, and look at them. They're a bit bigger, a bit bulkier. Obviously got claws. Nasty. You can even see inside. I think this is great stuff. Now, the Aslan are the youngest of the major races. That's basically saying that they're I think there are, in Traveller canon, something like 6 major races, and they're the youngest, meaning they're the ones who most latest came to jump technology. I think that's what they're getting at. Okay, so Aslan worlds under Imperial rule, so that means, within the Imperium, within the bounds of human-controlled space, are up to 40 parsecs within the border. So there is a large, wide crossover between Aslan space and human space. So that gives you a lot of opportunity for playing with the characters, or playing as them even. Okay, so let's zoom on down. So again, I love this crunchy stuff they put in here. Aslan timekeeping, it differs from our timekeeping. So if you're playing with Aslan, you could have the difficulty of trying to translate their times around into ours. Okay, so Aslan are descended from 4-limbed carnivorous pouncer stock, such as lions. The large grazing animals in their regions were too much for a lone Aslan to kill, and they began hunting in prides or packs of several families. And the strongest male became the leader. So that kind of reminds you of lions again, doesn't it? So that's the ancient history of when they were, I don't know, if humans come from monkeys, I guess that's what they were when they were more lion-like. They're fully grown up now. They've got digits and thumbs. So the Aslan has 3 fingers, opposing 1 thumb placed in the middle, that is, and they have retractable claws. So we've got this lovely image here. You can see how they've got the strange cocked back leg of a predator there. That's nice. Okay, and so here it is. Early Terran explorers, when they discovered the Aslan, thought of them as lion-like, and that has stuck ever since. Okay, Aslan differ from humans. They think differently. Their society is built differently. And the territorial instincts of the Aslan male made their general trend of Aslan societal development a feudal one. Aslan males want territory. It's how they build prestige. It's how they build importance. They feel safer when they've got their own space. So Aslans, as a race, moving out into space means that there's always more planets. There's always more territory that they can own. And that's a great driver for getting Aslan out from their homeworlds. The Aslan have long been a warrior race, noble and proud and devoted to those in authority above them and responsible for those who own fealty to them from below. Aslan society is based on the family and its relationships. So they have families, they have prides, they have clans, and they have collections of clans. Okay. Dueling is not uncommon because the warrior race concept, or the warrior for the male, is built in there. There's this prideful, face concept. They like to look after their own honour. It's a very big thing with them. So they're a bit of a touchy race, and it's quite easy to give or take offence with an Aslan. Okay, land. Okay, this is what I was just saying. A deep-seated territorial instinct causes male Aslan to have an inordinate, from the human point of view, concern for the acquisition and control of land. The ownership of land is a major race goal, is a major goal in the lives of most Aslan males. So from a youngster, they're going to want to grow up and have their own land, and that's what they're aiming for. Okay, gender in Aslan society, and this is another thing where they start to differ away from humanity. The sexes are very different roles in Aslan society. Males, in all but the lowest classes, are concerned mostly with military operations, acquisition of territory, and political affairs. Females, on the other hand, are concerned more with industry, trade, commerce, and the accumulation of wealth and knowledge. Females always own control of corporations. So society, as we think of it, of businesses, of families, of government, is separated within Aslan society between male roles and female ones. And anything they conceive of as male or as combat or taking land is all considered male, whereas anything to do with business, commerce, raising children, that's female. And so they think of jobs as belonging to a gender, which makes them different from us. Okay, this sort of follows up on that. They make their evaluation of gender based on a cultural rather than a biological basis. Aslan can see a human as having a perceived gender of male because she is a gunner. So if she's operating a turret, they will see her or think of her in male terms. So an Aslan would see her as a male and think that he would want to gain some territory. That might be why they joined the service. But of course, our motivations as humans would be completely different. There's a ratio of females to males in Aslan societies, roughly 3-1, 3 women to every male. And Aslan society tends towards polygamy. So they mate with, I guess, up to 3 females normally. And with females doing business stuff, your family could have fingers in 3 different commercial pies. Okay, what else we got? Caught my attention. Space hazards. Aslan systems have a far lower risk of piracy. Piracy as a profession is tainted with dishonour. So there we go again. It's more that face I was talking about, the personal honour. If you're going around stealing stuff from people as opposed to challenging them to a duel and winning the stuff, one is honourable, one is dishonourable. Okay, and the Hierate is basically their government, the way they operate. It's a collection of clans or clan leaders. They form the Hierate. Okay, so this booklet, look, I'm on page 9 of 44, dual columns, dense material here. Okay, now we're into the military section. One problem Aslan sometimes have is recognising that non-Aslan are less likely to fight by the strict set of rules which govern Aslan conflicts. So in that regard, they're quite insular. They're always expecting people to have the same honour system as them. So they often fight at a disadvantage until they realise the quality of their foe. Language and naming of things. The culture is highly complex and custom bound. So if you're playing with Aslan in your Traveller game, try and come up with lots of different ways of behaving. Whereas perhaps you might see it as like religious practices, but it's not. It's just more cultural. It's not a religion, it's a culture. Males do this, females do that. That is a slight on my honour. That is perfectly fine. Those kind of unusual decisions. You want to be able to throw them at your players, perhaps to keep your players on edge if they're dealing with Aslan for the first time. And if you're playing as an Aslan character, well, obviously, you want to play up the Aslan aspects. You don't just want to be a human wearing a fursuit. Now, another aspect of this book that blew me away when I first saw it was this Aslan sound frequency table. Now, later on in the book, there's tables to help you build up the language, but here you can get a feel for the sounds, and it's almost Tolkien-esque in the way that he would build the languages for his elves and his dwarves, etc. And you're getting the same sort of feel for that here. Now we're going into Aslan character generation. The stat generation is slightly different to your standard humans. Aslan are stronger, so they get 2d plus 1. They're not as dexterous, 2d minus 1, but they have greater endurance, generally speaking, 2d plus 1. So they're physically different. Unlike later versions of Dungeons and Dragons, in Traveller here, there's no balance between the races. The races are better at some things. They might not be as good as some others, but there's not a concept of balance that's being applied. They're just different. Okay, let's roll on past this dense text. Okay, some skills can be learned in Aslan society only by males, and other skills only by females. So when you're generating an Aslan character, you need to keep in mind what sort of role you want within that society. You might be a female commercial agent, perhaps travelling into human space to pick up business, that sort of thing. Some skills can be learned in Aslan society only by females. Okay, so it's the opposite of what I just said for the other one. And again, that makes them different. So you're going to have to be careful on what you select. We've got the usual sort of charts for generating various characters from the different services, but of course survival. This is classic Traveller. You fail that survival roll, you're dead. Your character is gone and you have to start again. That's the old Traveller rule when you're generating characters. It kind of turned creating characters into a mini game in itself. Did you want to push your luck and go for another 4 years of service and pick up some more skills? Or do you want to just say, no, that's enough. I don't want to lose what I've got. So we've got all the usual sort of character generations. Now, when you muster out at the end of your career, look at this. This is very Aslanic. You can win land. You can get a land grant for coming out. I thought that was interesting. Okay, loads more tables for generating characters and skills and things. Just whiz by these. See what else. Okay, Aslan come with their own weapons and their own equipment. As you can see here, there's a lot of melee type weapons here because those sort of things would be used in their culture, perhaps for dueling and so on. And a special different ability of Aslan, they're less affected by darkness than humans. So they get effectively some benefits over humans when it's getting on the dark side. More tables, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so if you're generating Aslan worlds, slightly different tables. Slightly different tables for generating worlds. Interesting skill list. And we got some Aslan specific skills in the list as well. And this is what I mentioned earlier about generating their language. So you've got all these different characters. They're not necessarily pronounced in the same way. So by rolling on these tables, you build up a series of letter codes. And if you go back to that table I showed you much further back up, you can see how you would actually pronounce it. Okay, then we've got more details. Gender, race, what we got here. Humans in the hierarchy. So that's in Aslan space. The reception of human travellers in the hierarchy system depends largely on their business there. If they're seen as being useful to the clan, they will be welcomed. Otherwise, they'll be requested to refuel and depart as quickly as possible. So in that regard, they're kind of... what's the word? They're not xenophobic. They're xeno-retardant? Or trying to reflect the xenos away. Okay, loads more dense stuff, some more graphics. Special encounters, timeline of Aslan history, and then it goes basically into a scenario. Let's just whiz past that. Oh yeah, what did I have here? Special rules. Oh, learning the Aslan language. They've got special rules in here. You don't just get Aslan 1 and that counts as a fully qualified. There are 12 levels of language learning as presented here in these rules. And it takes quite a while. So anyone can learn the language, requires an instructor and time. So the process, however, is long and slow. You begin with Aslan at 0. And I think it was 8 weeks of instruction. I can't see it, but often the case. You can't see it when you're looking for it. I think after 8 weeks, you throw some dice, and if you score high enough, you get language level 1, but it can go up to language level 12, which is fully fluent. Have I highlighted anything else? Okay, a big map of the Aslan hierarch and the nearby subsectors, and that's the end. Okay, so this is available on Drive-Thru RPG. I have to say, it gave me a lot of reading and a lot of thought when I got this one. As I say, it was the third one. I got the Kukri, then the Varg, and then the Aslan last of all. I got them in the reverse order, but in each case, I've absolutely loved them from beginning to end. If you want to get it for yourself, I've put a link in the description below.